Hello, everybody. Welcome. We see people trickling in. We have about 6 people so far. As you enter, there will be a poll that comes up on your screen. Very tricky, I know. It's 2 questions. First one is whether you are a parent, a student, or an educator. It's who you are, so not who you are here on behalf of. I know a lot of parents are here on behalf of your students, a lot of educators, meaning school counselors or educational consultants or teachers are here on behalf of your students. So who you are, because we just love to see who dedicates an hour of your thrilling Thursday, your Friday Eve, your Friday Junior, to being here with us. So that's the first question. Second question is what grade is your student in? Or if you are the student, what grade are you in? Because this is a rated E for everyone, all ages presentation. So we just want to see who's here. So feel free to answer that poll. It'll go away pretty soon. People are still trickling in, which we love to see. We'll give it a couple more minutes. As a reminder, there will be a Q&A at the end. So whether you have a piece of paper or your notes app on your phone or however you like to keep your questions, because I find if I keep my questions not in my head, then I can focus better on the amazing presentation. So however you like to keep your questions, definitely keep those amazing questions for the end, because as you will see very, very soon, our guest speaker, Susan, is brilliant. So you will want to take advantage of this time to have her answer all of those nagging college essay questions. Now is the time. You have her for free, and she will answer those questions for you. I learn something every time. We'll give it another minute or two, and then we'll get started. Looks like the entrance might be plateauing. Give it a few more seconds. And 3, and 2, and 1. All right. So, hello, everybody. I'm Christine from Appleruth Education. We are so excited to bring back Susan Knoppout, or as I call her, the Essay Genius, as tonight's expert guest speaker. Before we dive in to the content and what you're all here for, I just want to quickly share with you our overall Appleruth philosophy, which is that we believe in kids, and we believe that if you can change the way students think about themselves by giving them that self-confidence and self-efficacy, that they can really change their lives. That's why we teach to the whole entire student, not just boring rote memorization, because yes, a student can know every single strategy, but still get psyched out on test day. However, once you get a child to start believing in themselves, it's amazing watching their skills grow in school, on test day, and in life. It's something you can never take away. So to do that specifically here at Appleruth, we offer skill building in 3 main areas. First is academic tutoring for nearly all ages, from grade school through college, and of course this includes high school, AP exam and subject level prep. What we're probably most known for is test prep, so those college entrance tests, SAT and ACT, which, yes, are accepted equally by colleges, and no, you don't have to take both. Colleges just want to see one great score on either test. You don't have to take both. But we do also tutor the ISEE, the SSAT. If you need to take that, you know about it. And if you don't know about it, you probably don't need to take it, so don't worry. And even the PSAT. Get that National Merit Scholarship money, guys. And as far as our test prep, it's whatever suits you most, your style, your budget, everything. We have one-on-one for the biggest score gains, we have group classes, and we even have online self-paced self-prep. As far as tutor matching, we have a very rigorous tutor selection process where all of our tutors actually have to score in the 99th percentile on the tests they teach. So they have that subject mastery. And then executive function coaching, if you're wondering what that is, it's a great standalone or add-on for students who can use some assistance with the process side of school, from keeping things organized to planning out projects, either group or solo projects, to making sure they turn their assignments in on time. I call it pre-adulting. It's something I could have used. And with all of these offerings here at Apple Ruth, we are just so unique in our proven and successful pedagogy. It incorporates the latest research on student cognition, memory, test anxiety, motivation. It gets incorporated into everything we do. But I also want to let you know about something that we are coming up on, which is Smart Start, because August is our Smart Start event, and it is a stress-free and free way for you to compare the SAT and ACT to see which one you prefer, or if you have decided, see where you stand, identify your strengths, your areas of growth. You get a very long multi-page personalized score report that breaks it down by question, by section, by overall concept. So helpful, also free. And yes, as you likely know, Apple Ruth offers free practice tests every single weekend already. So if you are thinking right now, how is this different? The way this is different, as you see on screen, is the strategy sessions, because Smart Start tests are the only ones that if you take a free practice SAT or ACT during an August Smart Start event, whether you do it online or at one of our Smart Start locations, so in New York or Atlanta or any of our in-person Smart Start locations, which you can check out via that QR code or at appleruth.com/smart-start right on the screen, you get a complimentary comprehensive review strategy session, which normally, when it's not part of Smart Start, is an additional $175. So that's the reason to do Smart Start. Definitely worth it. Again, whether you need help choosing your test or whether you have chosen your test and just want a little extra boost, Smart Start is a wonderful, exciting, once a year free resource. But speaking of free resources, we have Susan here. And without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce you to her. She has over 15 years helping students write standout college essays. She's trained counselors and IECs in the WOW method, which you will learn all about today. She's a former executive speechwriter, has published poems, essays, has a BA from the University of Michigan, which has my favorite city in it, Detroit. Visit it if you get a chance. Has her Master's of Fine Arts from Vermont College of Fine Arts. And I'm so excited to turn it over to Susan.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Very, very happy to be here. So let me switch and now I will share my screen. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself and about my company. This is While Writing Workshop. We are very small. We're a boutique company, and our families are families like yours. They're parents all over the country, all over the world. We also are a training company. So we train school counselors, we train independent consultants, we teach them to be essay coaches. We teach them our method. I'm going to introduce you to our method tonight, and I'm also going to give you some free resources and my email. So if you have more questions or need more information, I'll be happy to be in touch. Please save your questions. I'll save plenty of time at the end to answer them. You can write them down, like Christine said, keep them, put them in the chat or the question box, however it makes it easy for you, and I'll answer them later. So let me tell you a little bit about WOW. These are my coaches. This is my team. I started this company in 2009 with my business partner. She retired at the end of last year, but until the end of actually the end of 2024. My goodness, we're way into 26. So anyway, she retired about a year and a half ago. And when we started this company, our skills were very complementary. I'm an instructional designer, and that means that I want to make sure that everything we do is instructionally sound. That's what we have in common with Apple Ruth. We care about how students learn, not just what they produce. So when we give instructions, when I give you advice and say, here's what I think you need to do, or as a parent, what you need to do to help your student, I also want to show you how. I don't want to just tell you what to do. I want to show you how. So we do this with by reducing stress. Now, Kim, like I said, who retired about a year and a half ago, but when we started this company, we used her skills as a journalist. She's trained as a journalist. She can get a story out of anybody. And so we started to teach other people how to get great stories out of students, even if they were reticent, even if they were nervous, even if they felt like they weren't interesting. Kim could get a story out of anyone. And we started teaching parents and counselors how to do this as well. So at this point, we have trained nearly 700 school counselors, independent consultants in the WOW method. Those are just people who've paid for our training, and hundreds, probably thousands more who have gone to our free presentations, who have received our materials, who've read our book, who've gotten our tip sheets. Our goal is not to teach every student, but is to make sure that every student has access to excellent resources and good information. So the more counselors we can train, the better. The more parents we can influence, the better. And of course, we do work with many, many students ourselves. And to answer one of the questions someone will ask eventually, yes, we do still have a few spots left this summer and fall to work with a few more students. We're almost full, but not quite. So that is also available, and we can talk more about that. So, my objectives today, I want to provide accurate information. I want to make sure that everything I tell you is vetted. Like I said, my partner Kim was a journalist earlier in her career. We never share anything that we haven't checked out and gone to the source for. I want to dispel the myths. I want to make sure that you understand which of the things you've heard are actually not really true. I want to share the facts. Those are the things you should do. I want to share our process and, of course, answer your questions. So, this is a session for parents, right? How to help without hovering. So, how do you do that? Well, let's first look at what a college essay is for the framework, because you will be tempted to overstep. It is nearly impossible not to. As a parent, you want to help your child. Of course you do. And it will be tempting to go too far. It's hard not to because the college essay really matters. This is all that's left, right? If you have, a focused student, your child has gone to school, has gotten strong grades, hopefully, has done tutoring, has not done tutoring, has taken the SAT or ACT, or has not, or is planning to take it again. The college essay is one of the only things that are left to do. And so it takes on this huge importance. So it's not that it's not important, but I do want you to remember the context that for the most part, your child has done the hard work. And while the essay matters, of course it does, or I wouldn't have a job. I would not have a 17-year-old company. It matters, but actually, you can be more helpful by stepping back because a college essay is, when we say your, that is the student, your story told in your voice and your words. I talk to admissions officers, and when I talk to them, I ask them, what do you want me to tell my students? And they tell me, will you tell them to answer the question? Which sounds basic, right? But too many students try too hard to write something fancy, to do something someone's never done before. That is not what they're looking for. They're looking for insight. So here's the WOW method. This QR code will take you directly to a download of this page that I'm showing you on the screen. The link is also on the screen and also my email address if you want to follow up later. I'm going to show you a few of the steps of the WOW method. Step one, understand the prompt and purpose. This is where many, many, many students go wrong. It's where many, many parents misdirect their children. And so you're not going to do that. You're going to make sure that your child understands the prompt and the purpose. So, what is the purpose? The purpose of a college essay is to demonstrate reflection and to share something that readers can't get from other parts of the application. We're going to talk about some of these steps in detail in a few moments. It'll be easier to follow along if you get your own copy, but I will show this a few more times through the presentation. So how do you help? Well, help your student reflect. That will show that you understand the prompt and purpose. That's number one. Don't tell your child what to write. Don't tell your student what to write. You may think you know. You may have the best story in the world for your student. I am going to advise you, it is very, very hard. Don't tell your student what to write. Teach them how to think about essays, and they will know what to write. Say, trust yourself. Tell your student to trust themselves and really, really mean it. Don't just say it and then stand in the corner and second guess everything. Get the right guidance. This is the right guidance. You are getting the right guidance right now. So I give you credit for doing that. And stay calm. The calmer you are as the adult in the room, the better. It is something that my coaches, I showed you pictures of them. Those folks have been with me an average of 10 years each. One of them has been with me for 14. They stick around. We teach them to stay calm. They work together to remain calm and focused for their students because a calm adult will help a student stay calm. It works every time. And it seems like, oh, that can't possibly be one of the most important things. Reflection, trusting the student to write what they need to write, getting the right kind of guidance and staying calm. This is really where it's at. So let's talk about reflection first. So I said that we have 10 steps in our method. Step number one, understand the prompt. I would actually modify that to say, understand the prompt and purpose. Why is the student writing a college essay? So how does the essay fit into the application? Making sure that your student understands that a college essay has a job. The job is to demonstrate reflection, making sure that they understand the prompt and how it fits in, and thinking about first accomplishments. What do readers already know about you? Why do we ask students to do that? In fact, we have an exercise where we have students write down what readers will already know about them. And often when we do training, counselors will say, well, why do we do that? That's obvious. And I say, no, it's not. Students forget. So let's take an example, a student who's a great athlete, and they want to write about, their greatest sports accomplishment. And I say, they already know that you're the captain of the tennis team. What they don't know is what kind of captain you are. So it's not don't write about sports or don't write about being captain of the tennis team. It's if you're going to write that, write a story that happens on the tennis team, remember that they already know that you're a tennis star. You don't have to prove what a great athlete you are. So we talk about accomplishments and the distinction between characteristics and accomplishments. That difference at the very beginning, that's why this is step one. That difference at the very beginning makes a huge difference, makes a world of difference. It sets the foundation for success. So on their own, when I say this, I do this in presentations. I speak about this all the time. Parents and students say, I get it. Okay, I got it. I'm good. Thank you very much. But then they walk away and they lose the thread. Wait, what did she mean by understand the prompt and purpose? So our method keeps that thread going. I'm going to mention this several more times as I take you through some of these steps. Step one is where everybody goes off the rails. The most experienced independent consultants, the best writing tutors in the country. I have trained people who have PhDs in English from very fancy schools who've been helping students write essays on the side, and they say, oh, I skipped this. Wait a minute. And then they do it and they say, oh my gosh, everything else is easier after this. So it's deceptively simple, but it's crucial. This first step, absolutely crucial. So let me show you what I mean. So what is the essay for? Well, here are the instructions. We're going to use the Common Application Personal Statement as our example. It's a great example essay. It's a good one. It's a great teaching essay. So here are the instructions. The essay demonstrates your ability to write clearly and concisely on a selected topic and helps you distinguish yourself in your own voice. What do you want the readers of your application to know about you apart from courses, grades, and test scores. Choose the option that best helps you answer that question and write an essay of no more than 650 words using the prompt to inspire and structure your response. Okay, then there are 7 different options. This does not say, show us how unique you are. It does not say, tell us something we've never heard before. It says, what do you want the readers of your application to know about you apart from grades, courses, grades, and test scores? That is a crucial, crucial question. And then there are various options that help you do that, and none of them are better than the others. I'm just going to show you a couple to illustrate what I mean. We like to distinguish between the what happened part of the story. So like what's the topic? What are you going to write about? And why does it matter? Why are you telling me this? Why is this the thing you've chosen? So those instructions I just showed you go with these prompts. Let's look at number 1. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. So it could be a background, it could be an identity, background, something in your family, something in your history, identity, how you identify. So this could be any number of things, race, gender, religion, anything. Interest, something I'm fascinated by, stamps, frogs, golf, anything, or talent. I'm a great baker, I'm a dancer, I'm really good at solving puzzles. It doesn't matter. A background, identity, interest, or talent, they're equally valuable to write about. But how do I pick? It is so meaningful that your application would be incomplete without it. Tell us a story. Tell me about something like this. So prompt number one is giving you 4 different ways, 4 different entry points: background, identity, interest, or talent. Any of those are fine. Let's look at one more, because this is a 2-parter. Again, understanding the prompt. If the purpose is to demonstrate something meaningful, to show reflection, the next question is a little different. The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? So what happened? An obstacle. It could be a challenge, something that was difficult. A setback. I was going along really well, and then something set me back. I was really advancing, I was moving and improving, and things were great. And then something happened. I got injured. Someone came in and did better than me, and they leapt ahead of me in whatever competition this was. Or a failure, a complete failure. I went to the solo and ensemble festival, and all of my reeds broke, and I couldn't play my oboe, and it was a disaster. I mean, that's like an extreme disaster. But what I'm saying is, it can be a challenge, something difficult, a setback. I was making progress and I got sick, something like that, or a complete failure. I tried to start a club, I did all the right things, and still the vice principal wouldn't let me start the new club. A failure. It doesn't matter how big the obstacle was. The question is, it can be fundamental to later success. So, how did it affect you, and what did you learn? So this is not just a story about something hard that happened. This is about something challenging. And then what did I do with what I learned? So making sure that you understand the prompt is crucial. When we work with students, and I'm going to show you this because this is step 2, we make sure that they can choose their own topic. So how do we do that? We teach them how to choose an effective topic. In fact, our book is called How to Write an Effective College Application Essay. Intentionally effective, not amazing, not outstanding, not one that's going to get you into Princeton. Effective, an essay that does its job, that does what an essay is supposed to do. So don't tell your student what to write. Instead, help them brainstorm ideas. That's step 2. For each possibility. Now, we have our coaches meet with their students to choose a topic, but before they meet with their coach, they watch a video, they read a web page, they do a writing exercise that teaches them to balance these 3 elements. And you can do this too. The prompt, so which of those 6? An anchor story, a story, something that happened relatively recently, not when they were 12, but maybe, in high school is good. And make sure that it illustrates a characteristic. We want to focus on characteristics. So what we ask our students to do, and you can do this with your own child, Ask them to come up with several ideas. Two, three, four. We ask for four. Four is a good number. Most kids can come up with four. Four possibilities that they include the prompt, an anchor story, and characteristics. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's say they chose that first prompt that asks for a background or identity. The student says, I want to answer that question, and I'm going to write about um, how much I love to bake because I use that as a way to show people how I care about them. And it also helps relax me because I'm a really, high tension person and I'm really busy all the time. Which characteristics does this illustrate? It shows that I know how to step back and how to manage stress. It also shows that I'm generous and I'm super creative. What's the story? What's the anchor story? I'm going to write about the time I made cupcakes for my grandma for her 80th birthday. Okay, so what I've done here is I've gotten the background or the identity or the interest or the talent. A big idea. Then I say, I want an anchor story. Give me a story. The story does not have to be the entire essay, but it holds the student in place. It helps the student come back, especially during revision, because then we also have the characteristics. Why am I telling the story? And we remind our students, remember why you're telling the story. So as they revise, we're not just looking at, is this a nice story? Do I like it? We're focusing on content first. That's what these first 6 steps are. And then we're going to get into the structure and the polish later. But focusing here helps students remember not only what they were going to write, but why. The why is so important. And the why goes back to making sure they understand the prompt. What do I want readers to learn about me? And that takes us to step 3, focus on theme. By theme, I mean, what happened? What's the anchor story? I made cupcakes for my grandma's 80th birthday. Why does it matter? Because I'm compassionate and I'm creative and I know how to relieve stress. Now, from the theme, I don't know what the essay is about. It's just something to hold on to keep in front of my student so they remember, and I can go back as well and remember what they wanted to write about and why. So that when I'm reviewing the essay later, I can make sure that that's central, that they don't go off into describing every last detail about the frosting, but I don't know that this has anything to do with relieving stress, and I don't know it has anything to do with creativity or about caring about others. I need to make sure that the characteristics are central, and the anchor story helps me do that. So next, say trust yourself and really trust them. This can be so, so hard. It can be really hard. These essays matter. Makes a difference. You want your child to get into a good school. You want to make the most of what they've done so far in high school. You've been leading up to this point. I talk to families all the time. I talked to one this afternoon. This is the student I was talking to has dreamed of a certain college. She wants to go there. She wants to do everything she can to help herself, get into the school. And one of the things she's going to do is really focus on her essays. Now, I don't want to overdo it and make the essay so important that she, completely shuts down. But I was sitting with her and her mom, well, sitting figuratively on Zoom, and the mom, it was clear, really trusted her daughter and is going to trust her to do her best work and was going to trust us to work with her. You can do this yourself as well. And you have to let them go in the direction they want. So if we come up with several ideas, if we get through step 1, understand the prompt and purpose. Step 2, brainstorm ideas. Step 3, make sure you have a theme. Then we do some free writing. Then we get to the first draft. So we make sure that the student knows what they want to write about and why and feels confident. The whole green, the first 6 steps, that's content. We focus on content first. We teach our students to think like writers, which means let's make sure we know what we're going to write about first. Let's get a lot of content. And then the purple, the next 2 steps, 7 and 8, that's structure. That's how am I going to move through the essay? And finally, steps 9 and 10, that's polish. So we don't talk about spelling. We don't talk about first sentences in the first steps, the first 6 steps, because that is not where we want them to think. We want to make sure that they really are focused and are confident about their topic and what they've chosen to write about. So it's very important as you're going through the first draft, you want to make sure you have the prompt in front of you. You have their theme in front of you. You understand why they want to tell the story because that can help you give good feedback and say, well, how does this story illustrate this characteristic? We do an exercise we call writing outside the essay, where we have students step outside of the essay and free write to clarify some of their reasons, to clarify some of the details, and then we move that all back into the essay when they revise. It's a great exercise and it reinforces this idea that there's a purpose to the essay and there's a reason they chose their topic. So, how else can you help? Get the right guidance and get it sooner than you think you need it. So what I say here, it's July, it's the end of July as we sit here together today. And for some of you, you're just starting to think about this. Maybe your child is a sophomore or a junior, and this is not something they're doing right now. For some of you, your child is a rising senior and they're about to apply to college and they're going into senior year and it's really, really busy. Trust what you know about your child and what you've seen so far. If your child is procrastinating, get support so you don't ruin the rest of your summer or the beginning of senior year. I've seen it too many times. People wait, they think their child is going to do this on their own, and they let it go, which is fine. That's also a choice. But they know their kid and they know they're going to procrastinate. So if you're going to get help or you're going to read or you're going to learn about this, you're going to support them, do it sooner better than later, rather than later. I would say go to our website, download the graphic, get our free book, read our free blogs, follow us on social media. We have good advice, we have good guidance. And like I said, if you want to work with someone professionally, of course, contact us. We work with many, many, many students every year. But this is not a sales pitch. What I want to make sure you do is that you do get the right information and you get it at the right time. I can't guarantee that your child's going to get into the school of their choice, but I can guarantee that most people get the essay wrong. I've seen it too many times. People get the essay wrong. They misunderstand it. They don't understand how to get to the right place. So I want you to move beyond beautiful writing. I want you to move beyond supposedly unique topics. I want you to move beyond supposedly unique presentation modes. That just creates a sea of sameness, actually, which is wild, right? How can it be a sea of sameness if everyone's trying to be unique? I want you to encourage your child to lean into the elements that are less obvious because the essays that stand out, they're genuine. You cannot manufacture that. You really can't. You can't manufacture genuine. You can't get it from AI. You can't get it from modeling your essay after one in a book. You can't get it from asking your cousin's daughter who got into your child's dream school to read the essay. Genuine comes from following a process. You can schedule a 15-minute meeting with me. It's available on our website. You can read our book. Like I said, we have lots of information and resources, and I want to share it. So that's what I mean by getting the right guidance. Be careful. There's a lot of garbage out there. It's on TikTok, it's on every social media platform you can find. Everybody's an expert. A lot of it is garbage. I've actually talked to people in this industry, people I trust and like, who are trying to get traffic to their own websites for their own apps. And they'll say, well, the college essay advice we're giving, it's just AI slop. But it gets people to our website. You don't know the difference. They even know it's garbage. And I say, what are you doing? You're not helping people. So just be careful who you listen to and what kind of advice you get. So getting the right guidance also means understanding that these three keys, process, I just showed you part of our process. Plan, have a plan, understand what your child is up against as far as summer plans, fall plans, school commitments, and schedule. So process, I showed you the process. Absolutely. The plan involves where is your child applying? What does your summer look like? What does your fall look like? When does school start? How busy are you going to be? What are your application deadlines? And how motivated is your child? How motivated are they? I ask our students, how motivated are you to get this done? I want to know from them, is this something that you're nervous about? Is this something you're excited about? Do you shut down when things get challenging? Do you rise to the occasion when things get challenging? Do you need tight deadlines? Do you need lots of time? I want to understand the student, and you know your child better than anybody, right? So be realistic about what to expect. And finally, schedule. Now, your kid wants two things, right? To get in and to be done. That's universal, right? Every student wants to get in and they want to be done with their applications. So that's why schedules matter. It's why our students always finish. We start and they finish because momentum is really your friend. Momentum matters. When you start, you want to finish. So we tell students, don't start in June and then go away for 8 weeks and then try to come back and finish. We say, wait till you come back from whatever it is, camp or trips or whatever they're doing. It's not that you can't write in bits and pieces of time. That works too, but we have to plan it. I had a student once who was a competitive tennis player, and she traveled a lot. And she said, I mostly do my work on Saturdays when I'm home. So we modified our schedule. This is one of my standard schedules. This is like a standard schedule for our first couple of weeks. But with this student, I said, okay, we're going to combine steps and we're going to make all of your assignments due on Saturdays. Then on Sundays, I'm going to check them and I'm going to give you your next assignment and then you'll have it due by next Saturday. That was a special case, but I was paying attention. I was using my process. We had a plan and then we created a schedule for it. So if you see a lot of pauses, if your child starts and stops and starts and stops, that's a sign. And one way you can help is by figuring out how to keep them moving. So in our process, we give really tiny little bite-sized pieces. So for example, what this says on the first Sunday, intro through step 2 is due. There's pre-work. There's about an hour of preliminary work they have to do before they meet with their coach. They meet with their coach on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. The coach responds, and then they have a draft due by Sunday. Why do we do it this way? Again, I'm not saying that you have to follow this schedule. This is a standard schedule that works for most students because it gives them time, it gives them days in between things. But if I have a student who needs to condense it, I can do weeks 1 and 2. I can do that in 1 week if I have to. I can also stretch it out. I can have a student who goes away in the middle of week 2 and we can pick up because I know exactly where I am. What we want you to understand here, and so important, this also helps students stand out because you don't want to be competent and okay, even wonderful. You want to be noticed. And being noticed means sticking out in a good way. It means telling your story for your student, your story in your voice and your words, as I said. A beautiful essay, a regular beautiful essay, it's one in a million. But an authentic essay, that's actually rare. We see a lot of them. We're very proud of that. But on their own, a lot of people think that they get it, like I said, right away, and then they get stuck. They call me a week or two later and say, I thought I got it. We were starting and then we got stuck. And I say, it's okay, it's fine. Here's what you need to do next. So that goes to staying calm. Your child has done the hard work. They've done the hard part. You want to make sure they have a strong and realistic list. The list is crucial. A strong list, a list of colleges that your student is qualified for, is absolutely one of the most important things. A college essay doesn't vault anybody over a wall. It can help a qualified student get in. But as the years go on and as more and more students apply to more and more schools, it becomes an impossible math problem, like it or not. If 5% of students get in or 12% of students get in, that doesn't mean only 5% were qualified. Maybe 40% were qualified, but only 5% got in because there's only so many seats. So have a realistic list. It's okay to dream, but be real and don't expect the essays to do magical things. Make sure that they are ready. Help them reflect. Like I said, don't tell them what to write. Make sure they trust themselves. Get good guidance. stay calm, and you'll be ready to really help your child without hovering by staying not totally in the background, but not front and center, and also not leaving them alone to just sort of do it themselves. What we find when we work with students is at the very beginning, the first few steps, they're very excited because they feel like they're being listened to, which they are. In week two, and that's the steps 5 and 6, we kind of step away for a moment. And it's really in step 6. And we have students do writing exercises outside of the essay. That's really where our magic lies. In weeks 3 and 4, and that's steps 7 through 10, we're refining. And that's when the aha comes. So student is saying, I'm really excited. This is great. I got a good topic. I'm excited. I got a first draft. Step 6, and what's in for us is the second week, we kind of step back and we say, okay, we're going to do these writing exercises. Then they go back in with step 7 and they revise. They use all the content they've developed outside the essay and they get a little bit nervous, but they follow through, they keep moving, and then they say, I get it. They see the connection from that very first step of understanding the prompt and purpose, and they see the essay developing. And that's what I want your child to experience. I want your child to experience that feeling of confidence, the feeling that they know what they're doing and that they're okay, and that their story told in their voice and their words is not only good enough, but it's excellent. And it's exactly where they need to be. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Christine for a moment. I also have a Q&A, of course. So I'd love to answer your questions. You are invited to put them in the chat or in questions, and I will answer them.
All right, that was amazing. And if you want, I can share my screen. It'll just say Q&A.
That's okay. You can.
Dun, dun, dun. Did it work?
We got Q&A, and I would
All right.
say that if anyone has questions, I also have lots of things I can say that I know people have questions about, but I would much prefer to answer specific questions from this audience, not just questions that I get all the time.
Yes, so if anybody has a question, it's not in the chat, it's in the Q&A. So to
Okay.
find the Q&A, if you don't see it automatically at the bottom of your screen, click More, and that's where you will find the Q&A. It might be hidden under More. So
Right,
it's,
on my screen, there's 3 little dots.
yeah, so click your 3 more dots, then click Q&A. You will also
Okay.
see a follow-up poll. This one is extensive because it's 3 questions. Yeah, way. And the third question is dun, 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 short answer, which you are now prepared for because you just learned all things essay.
Well, I will answer one question that I get a lot, and I'm sure that there are folks who are wondering this. With the proliferation of AI tools, how can my child stand out if everybody else is having their essays written with and by chat bots? Well, not chat bots, but by bots. So I want to tell you what we've seen. And we were just talking about this with our team this week because we said this is the year. Last year, we got a couple of essays that were sort of AI supported, I might say. And this year we're seeing a few more, and students are using this at different places, and schools are saying you might want to use AI in this way or that way. I saw that on a website today. So here's what I have to say about AI. And I think this fits very well with what we were just talking about. Most people offer 2 kinds of help to students: parents, counselors, the most well-meaning writing tutors, and essay coaches. It's universal. It has been since I started working in this business. And that is to either tell students what to write or gently suggest what they should write, or to over edit, to really dig in and not just reflect, help the student reflect, but actually revise and rewrite and be an editor. And what we like to say is, first of all, for the second one, we are not editors. We are coaches, we're advisors, We reflect back with the students, we ask questions, so we don't over edit. Now, there's lots of AI tools that can edit a student's essay. The second thing that we teach parents, counselors not to do is to tell students what to write. So let me give you an example there. I had a student a few years ago, nice young man. Writing was challenging for him, and it always had been. So this is a writing task. He sat down with his mother and came up with the four ideas before he met with me to choose one for his essay. And the ideas were nice. One of them was about lobbying Congress, and another one was about a volunteering activity he had done. And they were very interesting and detailed stories. He's telling me about this, and I'm asking him, so when did you do this one? Oh, I was 12. When did you do that one? Oh, that was when I was in elementary school. My mom and I did such and such. Each of these stories, these were his mom's favorite stories about him because he thought he couldn't do this on his own. So she was prompting him with some ideas. These are the best things about you. These are your great stories. So when we were, because I had done step one with him, because I had helped him understand the prompt and purpose, and I said, you said in your answer to step one, what do I want readers to know about me? I want them to know that I'm really curious and I can talk to just about anyone, and even controversial topics, nothing, doesn't slow me down. I said, now here's my phrase. So parents, I'm giving you this one too. Tell me about a time when you were curious and open to controversial topics and enjoyed talking to someone. And he said, oh, I know. Last week, I was at driver's ed and I had a new teacher. It was a guy I'd never met before because he'd had another driving teacher before. And something controversial had happened in their town. I don't remember the details. And he said, so I asked him, what do you think about whatever the topic was? And he said, it was so interesting. We totally disagreed. It was great. It was such a cool conversation. I totally think he's like full of garbage, but that was so cool to have this conversation. I said, he must have loved talking to a young person who didn't fight with him and was respectful and could be articulate. So I said, that's great. It illustrates all your best characteristics. He's like, I can write about that? Because he had all these big topics, right? I said, of course you can write about that. And he did, and it was a beautiful essay, and it reflected him, and he got into the schools he applied to because he had a good list. They were appropriate for his academic accomplishments. I give that example because right now, and I explore all the AI tools, they can't do that. What they can do is ask questions like, tell me about your favorite places to go and tell me about the things you like to do and what's something cool that you've accomplished recently. The kinds of questions, generic questions that a lot of parents and a lot of counselors will ask students that aren't going to get them to reflect. And we need to have that conversation. So with AI, I tell students you can do research on the school. You can do research for a why this college or why this major essay, but check your information because, the, the internet is full of garbage, just as, make sure you're getting the right guidance. I do see a question here. I was wondering about some colleges removing their supplemental essays. Will this affect how colleges view mid-rank GPA students, or will this not have any effect? Well, it's a very good question. So, what this parent is asking, or this person is asking, is several schools recently have said, you know what, supplemental essays, there's extra essays. So there are why this college essays, there are community essays, there are tell us about a time when you had a challenging conversation essays, their activity essays. They fall into lots of different categories that ask students to talk about something specific that school is curious about. And recently, University of Virginia, University of Georgia, there's several others have said, never mind, we're not going to ask those questions anymore. It wasn't helping us. We don't need that. Okay, I think we may see more of that, although there's been a lot of experimentation in essays. There was a whole phase many years ago when it was all going to go away because it was all going to be video essays, and that kind of went by the wayside. It was all going to go away because AI was going to make it irrelevant. That kind of went by the wayside for now. So this question, will this affect how colleges view mid-rank GPA students? So far, and I cannot speak to this as an expert because it's still happening. We're still in it. We're not sure what the effects are going to be. what I'm seeing is more students are applying to those schools because it's easier to apply. So what it's affecting is the yield, which is a number that colleges like to be low. They want it to look like they're more selective. The more students who apply, the fewer can get in, the more selective they look. I don't think it's going to affect the mid-rank students. They will still, most of these schools are common application schools. Students still have to write the main personal statement. They're still taking the personal statement. Very few schools, there are a few exceptions, very few schools have said we don't care about the personal statement anymore. They're just saying that these additional essays were not helping them enough to make decisions. Now, schools go back and forth on essays all the time. It's test optional, it's not test optional, it's test blind, they go over, they do a lot of things. We can't always know until the next season. So I would say, as I said before, use the data from the schools, apply to schools that are reasonable to apply to. I mean, dream a little bit, reach is not a bad thing, but I don't know that this is going to make a huge difference in who gets in. But thanks for asking. Other questions? I
That
can
really was a great question. And don't be afraid to ask anything because chances
ask
are, more than
anything.
likely, whatever burning question you have, somebody else has too, and they will be so grateful that you asked.
I can share another question I get a lot of. Um, Parents, students will ask me, what about these why this college essay, why us essay, demonstrated interest? How do I show that I really care about the school? This goes to step one to understand the prompt and purpose also. Why SSAs fall into have a range of variations. And that's why it's important to understand the prompt. So some of them will say, why are you applying to this major? There are direct to admit majors at many schools now, where you must be able to articulate why are you applying to this major and why at this school. And that requires some research and knowledge. Some schools want to know, why do you want to come here? It's a much broader question. Why this college? Why I'm the University of Michigan. Why LSNA, which is literature, science, and the arts, and not engineering or kinesiology? Why this particular school or a program within that college that distinct, why the engineering school and why electrical engineering? Why this particular program? Why this living learning community? Those why, bigger why us questions often are looking for what have you done that demonstrates that you want to come here? Have you done a summer program here? Have you talked to anyone who goes here? Have you toured the school? They're looking for information. It's a dating essay. It's a match. You like movies and I like movies. Great, we're a perfect match. Oh, wait a minute. You like horror movies and I like rom-coms. Probably not as compatible as we thought. So the why us essays, it's very important to understand what's below the surface. Is this definitely a why major essay? Is it definitely a why this program essay? Some places want to know, are you going to be successful in our environment? Either we're extremely remote or we're in a big city. Some schools are saying, I don't care if you love our basketball team. That's not really, I mean, you can say it, but it's not going to help you get in. So it's understanding why you want to write about what you're going to write about. Very crucial, not just what am I going to write about, but why.
We just
Another
got
question.
another question. If my essay is about my passion, for example, then usually it will seem broad without specific examples. But is adding an example to exemplify your passion okay or not, since we are trying to write about something that cannot be seen on the application?
Okay. So if you want to write about something you're really passionate about, you need to illustrate it with a story. People are storytellers. We learn about each other through stories. So I'll give you another example. I've had students who want to write about something they're very, very passionate about. I love origami. I love horse racing. I use my baking cupcakes example. I'll give that example again. Let's say we have someone who's passionate about baking. They make elaborate cakes. They bring, the best treats to every event. They're gorgeous. They know how to use fondant. They know how to decorate. It's amazing. Talking about that in general doesn't grab me. But a story about staying up till midnight watching YouTube videos about how to make the perfect little stars on teeny tiny cupcakes, that demonstrates passion. And that's what your readers want. You will get people's attention. You don't need to say broadly, this is a thing I care about, because they're not asking about the passion. They're asking about what it demonstrates about you. And a story will help illustrate who you are.
Great question and great answer. Thank you both.
I think I have one other one that comes up a lot. And this is many schools started asking questions where they're asking students to talk about a time when they had a difficult conversation or were faced with an idea that was unfamiliar to them, and how did they manage it? And students will say, "It's a diversity essay. I'm not diverse. I'm just a regular kid in a regular environment, you know, whatever it is, right? I'm like everybody else in my school," or "That's never happened to me." It can be anything. It can be anything. It can be small. It does not have to be like my student talking about a controversial topic with his driver's ed instructor. It can be. He didn't even think that was a big deal. He's like, "I can write about driver's ed." I said, "You're not writing about driver's ed. You're writing about curiosity. You're illustrating it through a story that happened." I said, "But I bet you're like that all the time." And later on, I talked to his mom and she said, "He's like that all the time." That was great. Perfect topic. She helped him come up with these other mediocre ideas because she didn't understand the prompt and the purpose. So when students are faced with a question that asks them to talk about controversy they've experienced or a challenging discussion or something, it can be anything. It can be arguing with your dad. It can be reading something that really got you thinking and made you frustrated or angry or confused. It can mean questioning something that you learned as you're growing up and you really had to struggle with it. It can be any of those things. It can be talking to your best friend at a, while you're at an overnight about something that really has you worked up and you're not really sure how to manage it. Anything. It can be small, it can be big. They're not, if these aren't trick questions. I think that's the most important thing I want you all to understand. It's not, it's not a trick. They're asking questions. I'll finish with the thing I said before. When I talk to admissions officers, they say, "Will you just tell your students to answer the question and stop trying so hard to impress me? Because the ones who impress them are the ones who are authentic and who really understand what they're doing and how." And often that comes from being at a session like this and getting the right kind of help and listening to the right kind of advice. Oh, I see another question. What are good times to be finished with your personal essay for rising seniors? When it's due. So some students are done. They're already finished. They started as soon as school ended. Other students are going to write them in August. Other students are going to write them in October. If you're applying early, which usually is a November 1 deadline, but for some schools, especially in the Southeast, it's mid-October, you want to get your personal statement done. I suggest that people try to get the personal essay done before school starts if possible. Now, again, if you're in the Southeast and school starts in 2 weeks, you may not be done. But as soon as possible, get it off your plate. Enjoy senior year. Be done. I think that's it. See any more, Christine? Any more questions? All right.
No, but those were
Thank you
some good
so
ones.
much.
We have one more minute if anybody wants to slide in one last question.
I think we're good. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing your gift of essay knowledge and wisdom and expertise with all of us. You guys all have Susan's contact info, you have our contact info. So these were great resources that all you guys got tonight. So please take advantage of it because you guys shared an hour of your evening with us. So make it count, make it give you that leg up on your college essays because you did this, meaning you care about getting that advantage on your essays. So make it worth it for you. You got some good stuff tonight. Susan, as always, brought a wealth of expertise, and we thank you for that. And it's 8 on the dot. Amazing. So if there are no more questions, we'll give it a few more seconds. Thank you all for coming.